Welcome to another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. Grab your popcorn, your drink or beverage of choice, a glass of red wine, a cup of tea, coffee maybe. Get the fruit juice for the kids. I was told that we should be giving them fruit juice and not Kool-Aid. But it was a cliche. Anyway, let's get the fruit juice, the fresh fruit juice for the kids. Call your neighbor, call your friends, your mama and your papa, your grandmama and your grandpapa, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties and your uncles, your nieces and your nephews. Let them all know that Simon Says is on. Buckle up. We'll be right back.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.
Welcome back. Now, just a little correction from last week, a little mix-up. When I spoke of the Molyneux Road and the contractor being sent back and then brought back, it was not the contractor, but it was the consultant, Beston, out of Trinidad. They were the ones that were sent back. And they used, well, you can call it local because they're working here with the Ministry of Infrastructure. The engineers, the Cuban engineers that work out of the Ministry of Infrastructure, those were used as the consultant whilst they sent back Beston, the consultants to Trinidad. The engineers had instructed the jug down of the mountain, and the contractor was Rayneau. Rayneau was never sent back. So that was my mix-up right there. It wasn't Rayneau, it was Beston, the consultants. So Rayneau was here working, instructed by the Cubans to jump down the mountain. And that is how they had to then bring back Beston, and Beston had to change the design to facilitate the jump down of the mountain. So I just wanted to clear that up right there. Now, just a little current affair before we get into the continuation of the Rayneau stuff. And of course, we have Project Polaris, month 4 update, right? Now, in passing on Facebook, I came across an interview with the chairman of the board of directors of tourism, and he is also the project sponsor and project lead for Project 500, which is now Project 17. Randy Dolan, he was on the narrative with Callistra Faria. So I start. Now, you guys know by now, I can't stand nonsense, especially when it's loaded with lies. And when I see that so blatantly out there in the public space, I can't help but bring awareness to the people to show up the lies. Because there are those who know it's lies and they support it and believe it and continue to share it, knowing it's lies. And there are those who don't know that it's lies and would believe it. Now, according to the chairman of the Grenada Tourism Authority, the GTA, Randy Dolan, there was a 5 to 7% increase in stayovers in 2025.
And so you're projecting a 5 to 7% increase, or you're already seeing a 5 to 7% increase?
No, that was last year, because we went like almost 30% from the year before. And then last year, we went between 5 to 7% increase from last year. So this year, we still wait to see where the numbers ultimately end up. Spice Pass continues to get that sort of global push and recognition that it deserves. And we are seeing tremendous demand for the project. but for the product. And once we get the final numbers, we will obviously then, let everybody know exactly, where the final numbers came in. Because remember, this year we also do have
do you have projections so far? Estimated,
not quite
projected,
yet, because
yeah.
not quite yet. I'll tell you why. Because the flights are still filling up, and a lot of times you may get those last minute people who are booking that are then going to be coming in. I mean, at the bare minimum, we should do exactly what we did last year. But you also have to remember that we are in a new environment, right, where there are higher fuel prices, more constraints on cost of living, etc. People spend a lot of money on the World Cup if they went to that, so you have to make decisions on certain things. So this year we're hoping that we do at least meet where we were last year, or we expect that we could go forward. We have been trending ahead for the year in 2026 already. So we expect that we'll continue to trend ahead going forward for Spice Mass as well.
Okay, Mr. Dolan. However, according to the medium-term report, 2025 to 2028, on page 14 of the document, if you look on the screen, you'll see the page that we need there, the page 14 of the document. We put up the entire document on the channel so you can go search and research for yourself. According to that document, tourism, and that document is coming from the Ministry of Finance, the government of Grenada, the Ministry of Finance. The tourism activity in the first half of 2025 moderated following the exceptional outturn of 2024, a landmark year. Between January and June of 2025, total stayover arrivals declined by 10.5% to 92,201, down from 103,027 in the corresponding period in 2024, down to 2005, down by 10.5%. Now, there's a table. Now, this moderation, you're looking at the table there, is explained by base effects. As the previous year's performance, it was usually elevated according to the table. Now, the tourism statistics from January to June, 24 versus 25, on stayover arrivals, all but two, and if you're looking at the table, you'll see all but two of the percentage change are in the red. All the others are negative. Now, let's go through this quickly. Tourism statistics on stayover arrivals, that's the first column. The second column is January to June 2024. The third column, January to June 2025. And the last column is percentage change. The countries, United States, for January to June 2024, 55,393 arrivals. 2025, it dropped to 49,475. That's 10.7% in the negative. 10.7. This is where Mr. Dolan said we had a 5 to 7% increase. Okay? Europe, 4,248 arrivals in 2024. In 2025, where Mr. Dolan said we had that increase, it dropped to 3,112 arrivals. The percent change, minus 26.7%. In the negative, in the red, 26.7%. United Kingdom, 15,129 arrivals in 24, 14,004 in 25 arrivals in 25, 7.4% in the red. Caribbean, 14,384 arrivals in 2025, 13,000. It dropped again. 13,165, 8.5 in the red. Canada, 11,251 arrivals in 2024. It dropped 9,604 arrivals in 2025. The percentage change, 14.6% in the red. They have other 2,622 arrivals in 2024. That dropped, no, that one increased to 2,838. Don't know what other means. And we have 8.2 growth that's in the positive there, right? The total stayovers, 103,000. That's in 2024. 103,027, and in 2025 it dropped to 92,201. So the overall percent change is 10.5 in 2025. That is in the negative. That is in the decline. And Mr. Dolan told us that in 2025 there's an increase between 5 to 7%. A lie, a total lie, and a blatant lie, and a made-up lie, just to make themselves feel good, right? Cruise passengers in 2024, 193,394. In 2025, stayovers, cruise passengers, 227,377. That one is another one in the positive, 17.6%. Only those two, the other that I mentioned before, and the cruise passengers. Yacht passengers, of which Carriacou, 6,851 in 2024, and in 2025, folks, a whopping decrease, 1,261, and 81.6 in the negative percent, 81.6 in the negative. Of Grenada, 5,866, and we're still talking yacht passengers, 5,866 of Grenada. There was a decline, 4,492 in 2025, a decline of 23.4% in the negative, right? Then we had yacht calls, of which Carriacou, 1,410. That's in 2024, and it's 332. Another big decline in 2025, 76.5% in the negative, in the decline, of which Grenada, 1,330. In 2024 and in 2025, 1,145, 13.9% in the decline, in the negative. The source of those statistics that I just gave you came from the GTA. The statistics came from the Grenada Tourism Authority, of which Mr. Dolan is the chairman of the board of directors, singing a totally different tune from the authority. A totally different tune. Overall, 10.5% in the decline, when he's lying to the people and telling us that it's 5 to 7% increase. By source, market performance was broadly weaker across traditional markets. Broadly weaker, and that's according to their document coming from the Ministry of Finance. You know what makes this even more painful is the unpreparedness of the journalists these days, who do not clap back at these politicians and technocrats when they come and fling mud at us. Wherever it stick, it stick. Lying to the people, extemporing, knowing definitely that what they're saying is not true. But who believe. Now also, in the debt report, and that document, it's up on your screen as well. In the debt report, page 1, and the debt report, of course, came from the government of Grenada too, right? Also, in Ministry of Finance. And I'll post those documents as well on the channel. Now, page 1, under executive summary, Grenada's economic and debt position in 2025 reflects a shift from strong post-pandemic growth to a more moderate and uneven expansion, alongside weakening fiscal positions. Real GDP grew by 5.8%, supported mainly by strong activity in construction and transport. Growth in tourism slowed significantly. This is from this document is from the Ministry of Finance, our debt report, which came out a few weeks ago, just a few weeks ago. Growth in tourism slowed significantly. Now, on page 3 of that same document, microeconomic context, 3rd paragraph, the tourism sector remained central to economic activity, but growth slowed compared to previous years. Now let me read that again. Come to the front of the class, Mr. Dolan. And I'm quoting, the tourism sector remained central to economic activity, but growth slowed compared to previous years. After the visit of the IMF at the end of October 2025, Article 4 mission in their staff concluding statement of the 2025 article, the Article 4 mission dated October 2025, we learned that our tourism inflows are lower than expected. We were also told of the projected GDP growth, which is expected to fall by 2029 to an estimated potential rate of 2.7%. Even if, and I'm quoting here from the IMF document, even if Project Polaris is implemented, and if not, we are looking at negative growth. So, folks, we better prepared for negative growth. If NDC remains in office, even in the last presentation under the document of the estimate of revenue and expenditure, the budget, we were told to expect deficits budgets for the next 2 to 3 years. They couldn't even hide it. They had to let us know. So if we want to get out of deficits, and let us not forget that come from January 2027, we have to start to pay the debt that was suspended even before Maryland. They were so happy to suspend the debt. But we have to get back to paying our debts. All this trouble we see in here, all this broke, we broke. We ain't paying debts, you know. Could you imagine if we had to be paying our debts? So from 2027, we have to start back paying our debt. Right? We were warned that we can expect another deficit in 2027 through 2029. Again, everything hinges on Project Polaris. That is what they hope to take us through, or to take us out of our misery. But Project Polaris is a figment of their imagination. There's nothing happening and won't be happening there for a long time coming if we are depending on this Deacon Mitchell-led administration to bring Project Polaris to us, to bring a new hospital to us. The city part and the monies that might be made, they don't concern us. And unless y'all get that through your heads, we're in deep trouble. Don't sit down there and wait on no medical city to take us out of our troubles. So you heard Mr. Dolan when asked about projections for 2026. He said he had no projections. And the reason being is that because flights were still full enough. What does that have to do with projections, Mr. Dolan? Projections estimates specific what if assumptions. Projections are not absolute projections of what will happen, but rather conditional outcomes in the underlying rules hold true. What does some people that might have attended the World Cup, he mentioned that. He's the one that has 5 things. The people entering the World Cup. What does that have to do with our projections? It's a projection. It's like when he went and talked about the quarry in telescope that held back the work in the Project 17. Right? What does people who go to the World Cup have to do with our projections? Projections are not actuals. So, Mr. Darling, what are your projections for 2026? Now, in this clip, let's listen to this clip, because somehow, after saying he has no projections, he found projections, because a liar has no memory. And of course, he's extemporing. So he's making up things as he go along. Let's listen to him in this clip.
And for the first half of the year so far, in terms of trending ahead, what's the difference in numbers for 2026 compared to 2025?
For stay over visitors, we are already 10% ahead. For stay over arrivals, significantly 10% ahead. That's a significant number. So, and a lot of that is attributed to the increased seats coming into the destination.
And so what level of impact are you seeing? Because you mentioned earlier the pressures, the international pressures that are brought to bear on everything that has to do with our economic activities in Grenada. How much of an impact is it having on arrivals? You're 10% ahead. Did you have larger projections that you have not met?
No, we actually on track with our projection, because we had more increase. We have increased airlift coming in. We know the sustained 2 weekly flights from Air Canada are doing exceptionally well. So we had very strong performance from the Canadian market. So year over year, we're doing much better with the Canadian market. We also have that Delta flight that we had, a lot of frequency, almost daily in the beginning of the year. They went to 5 times a week. I know they're flying weekly into the destination. So that's more seats that we had coming into the destination as well as some more regional connectivity coming in. So with all of that, you are seeing more people arriving into the destination. Now, if you did not have some of these international pressures, would you have seen more? Probably slightly more. But we are seeing good, still sustained demand. What we are seeing and noticing is that the booking window has changed considerably, where it's now a 2-week booking window, where before you would see 6 weeks. So that is a new phenomenon in the market. So we continue to gauge it, but that's something that has hurt our ability to clearly project, because of the market dynamic has sort of shifted. So people are booking later, but we're still seeing arrivals into the destinations to remain strong.
We are already 10% ahead for stay over visitors for 2026. Clearly, we saw the extempo in there, right? When he was asked a question, and he was just like, okay, I'll say 10%. You could have seen it. Bring your receipts, Mr. Dolan. Bring your receipts. That was a wicked piece of extempoing. You guys, you saw it, right? You saw it. Made up right there and then, on the spot. Now, I thought we didn't have projections for 2026. They just came out of a hat all of a sudden. As the Grenadians would say, all at a sudden. Just happened that you have projections. So I guess the planes that was filling up, they fill up in that space of a time. A few minutes from when you spoke to the host, right? He also said a lot of people came in for the diaspora homecoming. Look on your screen. You would see photos of rooms filled and overflowing. Yeah, for the diaspora. Filled and overflowing. Yeah. So he said, a lot of people came home, and we all know that is a lie. The whole diaspora thing, if we had 300 people, we had a lot. Their projections was 4,000. That was their projections. They had projections for that one. and it was 4,000. We didn't have 400, right? Now, and he's also saying that some of these people who came home for the diaspora homecoming stayed, some of them stayed for carnival one time. That was weeks ago, you know. Unless they're retirees, this is not a true statement. This is also extempore taking place and just making up stories as you go along. But let's hear him in this clip.
BFR, visiting friends and relatives. We are seeing a lot of diaspora traffic coming in into Grenada. They're staying with family. They're spending money in the local economy. So their stays may shift around depending on what their objectives are. A lot of people came in for the diaspora homecoming, and some are staying through Carnival. We saw a lot of family.
Right? So we need the data. We need data. And as I said, if you look on your screen, you would see some of the events of the diaspora homecoming. The tour, the island tour, 2 buses, the big ones, right? And they were not filled. 2. To do a whole island tour for a diaspora homecoming, 2 buses, and they were not filled. Now, you see there the church service, that was the opening, and that at the Grand Beach Resort, the Radisson, that's the name now. They change so much names, you get tied up. Right, they had some forum there was supposed to be held for business people and so on. The diaspora come to ask questions and to get abreast. That was that meeting, right? That forum right there, right? Where are the lot of persons that came for the diaspora? We all know that whole thing was a failure, right? So, and some are staying from then to the carnival. And we would like to see the figures. We would really like to see the figures. Now, according to Mr. Dollard in this clip, tourism recorded spending $1 billion. Let's hear him.
From the diaspora. But we are, for the first time, seeing record tourism spend on island where we crossed $1 billion in total visitor spend for the first time last year.
Dollars just for 2025.
2025, yeah. And we
$1
expect
billion.
to do that again, billion EC dollars. And we expect to do that volume again in 2026. But a lot of the times we are we carefully calculated. We ran through it and we just about getting these figures back. But at the same time, you have to make sure that, we want to calculate the exact revenue, because sometimes you see the increase in the visitor spend, but we also want to make sure it's not just attributed to the simply inflation, for example. And then also we are mindful that when we look at the total economic assessment of all of it, how much is staying in the country, and also assessing what the costs are. Because we know that with the cost of increased fuel and everything else, we have to be mindful that although you crossed $1 billion, we want to understand that, at least the margins are greater. So we are seeing continued development and growth in the sector. But, as we finalize the numbers, we could better report more accurately, because it's one thing to say, well, we crossed $1 billion, but we want to understand economic impact as well.
The impact and whether it's a real increase or impacted by, as you said, rising costs and so on.
Exactly. So we don't just go touting irresponsible numbers. So we try to take our time and do it properly.
I hope not. And we look forward to getting those numbers soon. It would be an interesting breakdown to see how that's happening.
Now, In 2025, when there was a decline, when in visitors, arrivals, stayovers declined, when it weakened, according to the government of Grenada, according to the Ministry of Finance, when it slowed down, we could use whatever phrases we want, whatever descriptive word we might use. There was a decline. There was, according to Mr. Dolan, there was a record-breaking tourism spending of $1 billion. First time we're hearing of it since 2025. First time we're hearing of it. And he quickly clapped back on his own self, you realize, and talk about they don't just go about touting figures. You just did that, Mr. Dolan. You just went about touting numbers. Numbers dropping. Numbers that dropped significantly in 2025. But we got an increase in tourism spending. But I give you your flowers for clapping back at your own self. Because I think by the time you said it, you realized you should not have said that. So all of a sudden, we have to be careful because it might be the inflation, right? Although, according to the Minister of Finance, your government, we did not have any rise in inflation. He said it, Minister Cornwall. There's no rise in inflation. But you know, trying to ride the back of inflation because of that misleading statement you gave about this $1 billion tourism spending in 2025. You guys, I mean, Gypsy and Relator and them have nothing on you with your extemporing. And Mr. Dolan was questioned on room stock. This is what he had to say.
Now, I want to go back to the issue of numbers and against the backdrop of room stock. We continue to have an issue with room stock. We've extended our airport, we've made it bigger, but at the end of the day, we do not have a lot of rooms really compared to some other destinations. I know that it is a policy level situation here with that, but what is the GTA doing or anticipating to drive the expansion of Grenada's room stock?
Well, I think the first way of driving the expansion of the room stock is to show demand for the product. The fact that we are doing well with filling the flights and getting more business to Grenada. The fact that I believe that most of the operators are seeing, marginal increases in average daily rate, which is then increasing to us getting to $1 billion. So tour prices go up, average daily rates could be going up. There is a limited room stock. We're trying to reduce seasonality. You saw that by the Diaspora Homecoming. We have new festivals coming up, like the Flower Festival. We have some other festivals that are coming up that we're going to be announcing shortly. All of these things are doing or playing a role in driving demand for Grenada. And the more demand you drive for the destination, it tells investors that, they could have confidence in investing in Grenada, investing in our economy, investing in a hotel product, be it either villas, or be it either resort rooms. It also shows that for the local market, there's a demand for even Airbnb room stock. So a lot of visitors are looking for that really authentic homegrown experience. And having more of that room stock actually plays a part in that as well. So the reality is the more we continue to have strong winter seasons, the more we are able to reduce seasonality, the more we're able to prove that, we're filling the planes, we're selling the destination well. The only constraint is room stocks. It shows an investor that Grenada is the right place to consider putting an investment, because the investment will be safe here. The tourism authority will continue to do its part to ensure that the demand remains high and visitors will keep coming in, and the right type of visitor, the visitor that will give you the rates that you need for your
A word salad, full word salad. But you did not answer the question, Mr. Dolan. Now, compliments to the former administration, the former NNP administration. We had some room stock increased in Silver Sand Beach House Resort, Six Senses, and we have coming soon Intercontinental and the Livera Resort. Those are coming soon. We have that, and of course, I'm quite sure there probably would have been more by now over the past 4 years. But over the past 4 years, with the Deacon Mitchell-led NDC administration in office, even though they celebrated billions from CBI, they have not one investment to show for those billions, especially when it comes to room stock. Not one investment from the NDC, the Deacon Mitchell-led NDC from 2022 to date. Nothing to show. And that's what you have to answer to, Mr. Dolan. Beating around the bush, talking a whole set of nothing. Wrong pegs in square hole. Mr. Dolan, I'm sorry, but you have proven that you are not fit for that job, for that position, and that you one of the boys. Here we get our infamous photo put up. There's Mr. Dolan in the vest. Think that's lilac? The vest standing next to a prime minister. You're one of the boys. And so they're giving you jobs. What do you know about the housing? You are the lead for the Project 17. Folks, we're going over a cliff head first. Head first in that bus. If you could jump, jump. All who can jump to save their life, jump. Let that. It's going over. It's going over the cliff. Now I promise I'll continue the Rayneau saga for you. So let's continue with Rayneau. And so let me jolt your memory a bit with the Prime Minister clip at post-cabinet briefing last Wednesday on July the 22nd, 2026, lest you forgot.
So the government issued a general development order to allow Rayneau to operate in Woodford without submitting an environmental and social impact assessment. As the company's operations have continued, the Woodford Road has deteriorated significantly. Is there any independent investigation into the company's impact on the community, and what actions will be taken to address the community concerns or repair damaged infrastructure?
Yeah, so you said Woodford, so I want to be clear. I'm not aware that the Woodford Road has deteriorated or impacted as a result of the operations of Rayneau. I am aware, however, because I've seen social media posts where people have posted the Mongdo Road, which has been a road that has been deteriorating and in a poor and dilapidated condition for a significant period of time that predates our government and that predates Rayneau being in the area. Second, Rayneau's businesses are located before the Mongdo Road, not after. and specifically the bridge that I think people are showing on social media. So again, I can't speak to sometimes when people want to be mischievous about the issue, but certainly the Mondo Road does need attention. It has nothing to do with Rayneau. It is a road that in any event was deteriorating. I think there is, in fact, as we speak, a contract for a retaining wall on some parts of the road to be done, which may help with some of the challenges we face here. But it has not, as I said, I can't speak to the Woodford because I'm not aware of any issues with Woodford itself. But in terms of the Mondo Road, as I said, the state of the road predated the presence of Rayneau there. And from where we sit, we have not seen any indication that one has anything to do with the other.
It's not just about from where you sit, Prime Minister. Did you do the study? Did you have any testing done? Did you check on why the road, the Montdor Road, is broken? And it's broken in areas where it is in boundary with the construction and the excavation that is taking place up there at Rayneau construction. Right? Now, it is clear that you have no idea what you're speaking about. You don't know where Montdor Road is. You haven't been to look at what is happening up there. Because this story that you're giving about Rayneau is before the Montdor Road. They're in boundaries, sir. Yes, if you're coming up the main road, you would see the Rayneau plants before the Montdor Road. But they are in boundary with each other. If you fall over, if you walk in the Montdor Road and you fall over, you are falling into Rayneau's property. And not a far fall, As a matter of fact, if you step off the Montdor Road, you are stepping into Rayneau's property. So what do you mean about it? It's not close. And it's before. You have no idea what you're speaking about. You heard him, but we also heard Mr. Hector. I've spoken to villagers, farmers, residents of Montdor. All said the road broke once the excavation by Rayneau started. Was this a coincidence? It's possible. Was it there waiting to happen? And the excavation was activated by Rayneau's excavation and ignited the movement of the soil. That's also possible. Let's hear Mr. Hector, because he too, a villager, believes that the initial breakage started as a result of Rayneau's construction of their plants and whatever else they're doing there, because it's definitely more than an asphalt and concrete batching plant. Let's
I
hear
think
Mr.
it
Hector.
is very careless of our administration to even consider the things that's being done in our community. Now, I'm quite baffled as to what the gentleman is saying here. Bushejo is a developed area. You said it, there's school and everything. Move up to Woodford. How can one even think about erecting a plant for asphalt or any other type of plant in the area where this plant is being erected? There are houses located just about, say, 30 or 40 feet away from the plant. And it's not only one house, lots of houses. And over those houses there, we have a community called Brooklyn. And this community is a striving community. Over here, we have schools, churches, and other businesses. And putting a plan there would be a real inconvenience to the people in this community. Barring that, now I will question what is the thinking of this administration when it comes to people's welfare. Already we're suffering from the landfill in Perseverance. The people of this community has to deal with flies in the dry season, and even in the rain season, smoke and the noise. It is unfair to us for anyone to even think about putting more weight on these places. And as a matter of fact, the area where these people are occupying, right? They're occupying the whole area. They're occupying Halifax Harbor, Perseverance Bay, and the landfill has already polluted those bays. So the people in this area here doesn't have any way to recreate themselves. We does not have playing fields. We does not have centers. And the only place we have is this beach, are these beaches. And when you think about putting a plant there where it's being located, it's going to hamper our agriculture system. Now, I, by looking, would say, see that bad things start happening already. The road, the feeder road that's leading up to the Mondo area, where most of the farmers in this community do their farming, the feeder road has fallen, all because of the construction that those people put in there. And nobody is addressing us. The gentleman there, who should have known so much, would have known that when you're going to do these kind of construction in a community, the community at least should be notified. Nobody came to our community and had any meeting with us. We haven't had a heads up. All we see is the plan going up and everybody guessing. Some people tell us it's a hotel, some people, Nicogram say it's a hotel, some say it's guest houses and all they like. And now the development has started. Mr. Bob, big things start small. And I think this matter has to be looked into seriously because the people is not going to take it lightly.
You've heard from Mr. Hector, one of the resident of the area of Woodford. Now, what did Prime Minister and Minister of Infrastructure, Deacon Mitchell, base his utterances on? That Rayneau is not responsible for the breakage and slippage of the Mondo Road. I am not saying that Rayneau is responsible, but I am saying, how does the Prime Minister, what does the Prime Minister have to show to say that Rayneau is not responsible when he don't even know where Mondo Road is, according to his utterances? He doesn't even know where Mondo Road is. Look at this clip and tell me that Mondo Road is not close to the Rayneau plants. You just look at this clip. Now that clearly showed that the Prime Minister knew not what he was speaking about. The slippage, the pieces of the road, the bridge, the little bridge, ended up in Rayneau's property. It's in Rayneau's property as we speak. The slippage went down into his property. Now, how reckless and irresponsible of the Prime Minister and the Minister of Infrastructure at that to make such a statement. What is interesting, though, is that the breakage and the slippage that is happening so far is happening only in areas where Mondor Road is in boundary with Rayneau plants and the construction, whatever they are doing up there. Now, I want to, the concern of the villagers, which Mr. Hector spoke about, we cannot ignore. This plant, the asphalt plant especially, right? That is put down in the middle of the community. And that the Prime Minister and the Minister for Infrastructure, Deacon Mitchell, gave the okay to go ahead with the plant without an EIA, right? And here I have in my possession a document, a case filed in the Supreme Court of Grenada against the company Consolidated Contractors Company Caribbean Inc., CCCCI. That's the respondent. The claim from Mr. Leroy Nichols, who lives in Mount Hatman, where the plant is situated. And according to the owner of the plant, Mr. Nichols built while the plant was there, met the plant there and built there, knowing the plant was there, right? The applicant Leroy Nichols of Mount Hatman in the parish of St. George's in Grenada hereby applies pursuant to Part 17.4 of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court Civil Procedure Rules, revised edition 2023 for the following orders. An interim injunction restraining the respondent, whether by itself, its agents, servants, or otherwise, however, until further order of this court from carrying out or conducting blasting operations or other operations which pose a health risk to the applicants at the quarry site situated at Mount Hatman in the parish of St. George in the state of Grenada. Cost of the application, such further or other relief as this honorable court deems fit. And it's here saying grounds of the application are that the applicant is the owner in fee simple of property situated at Mount Hatman, St. George, in immediate proximity to the Mount Hatman quarry site. The respondent occupies and operates the Mount Hatman quarry, situate at Mount Hatman, aforesaid, at which quarry the respondent conducts excavating, drilling, blasting, and operations to extract aggregates and produce other construction and building material. The said quarry site is in the immediate vicinity of the applicant's property. Now, it's a 3-page document, and I would just this to give you a summary of what is happening here. In Woodford, if you see the amount of boulders already gathered, boulders taken out from the side of the road, the same road that fell apart, and the soil wherever the excavation is taking place, they are going to be shipping. They're going to, as far as I understand it, it is alleged that Rayneau is going to be putting a quarry there as well. And they have the boulders, they're going to be shipping boulders and stone and aggregates from Woodford, and that's the reason for the jetty down on the bay. They got permission to do their asphalt plant by the Prime Minister. And folks, the Prime Minister's legal firm is the firm. The application is filed by Mitchells and Co. Attorney at Law, Units 14 up to 16, Excel Plaza, Grand and St. George's. Mitchell and Co. That's the Prime Minister's legal firm. So I am sympathetic and empathetic to Mr. Nichols and if he's been caused discomfort, his illness and so. But Mr. Nichols, like the people up at Woodford, are human beings and Grenadians. And if it's okay for Rayneau to do that in the middle of a village, meet the villagers, there's some of them that 30 years and counting, some of them they're all their lives, and their children and grandchildren. It's okay for them to do that there. But your law firm is representing Mr. Nichols in court to close down the CCI plants and the quarry. So some people could inhale asphalt fumes and aggregates, dust and thing, and die. It's okay, because they're from Woodford in the rural area of St. John. And some people can't. So you're going to file a case in the Supreme Court to shut down. What is this telling us here? What is this telling us here? Not that we see it in the gentleman, huh? Because he could pretend as much as he wants. He pretends that he loves people, and you'll see him walking the road with big bag of grocery and thing. And you could tell what's in his mind when he walking up to these houses and peeping through window in the dead of the night and that kind of crap. Could only act for so long, right? But as I said before, what good for the goose, good for the gander. And so if it's not good for Mr. Nichols and probably the other persons in the area, it's not good for Mr. Hector, Miss Henry, and the other people in the area, and the others, which is much more people to be affected by what is going on out there. Let's take a look at this clip where the breakage, to show the breakage and the slippage of the Montdor Road. So this is the Montdor Road up in Woodford. If you listen, you would hear the trucking and the excavation and so going on right next door. And the road, this is crazy stuff. Persons living beyond this cannot drive to their home, so the vehicles are parked down the road. I'll show you that when I come back down. Oh, this is a gap there to one of the homes. The people can't live there anymore. They have to abandon their house. And this has been going on for a while, huh? So it is worsening. The owner has abandoned her house and is living elsewhere at the moment. All of this is the gap. You see? This here. So they have to abandon the gap. It's so this is now impossible. No vehicles can go up further. Well, they can't even get to here because there is a big one before that. So who in, stay in, and who out, stay out. Folks, it's a terrible sight. And if the Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure says that Rayneau is not responsible, okay, and we're saying that that is natural slippage, land slippage and so on, like kind of like closure where there's water and whatever. And if you're saying that, then why did you fix it? This has been going on for more than a year or going on 2 years. Why haven't the government of Grenada fixed the road for the people of Montauk? For the farmers who have their lands up in the mountain that they need to traverse, especially to bring down their produce? Why haven't you? What are you waiting on as Minister for Infrastructure to fix the road? There's an MTV, or GBN rather, a GBN news item on the situation with villagers and so speaking on it.
We call upon our parliamentary representative, who is also the Minister of the Environment, to be active in defense of the environment and in support of the people. If she cannot do so, and she has proven that she has not done so, then we ask her to resign. We ask her to resign.
The open mic at Cotton Bailey brought together residents, property owners, and concerned citizens who called for greater accountability over the operations of Rayneau Construction and Industrial Equipment Limited. Their concerns centered on environmental and health and safety issues, including land slippages that have further damaged the Mondor Road. The meeting was well attended by those in the surrounding areas, with members of the diaspora also submitting statements about what they believe is the impact of Rayneau's operations in their community.
The damaged road has made it difficult for residents to walk and for farmers to drive to and access their properties. We are not against development. We are asking for development, responsible development, health, safety, livelihoods, and the environment.
A Ministry of Infrastructure project to erect a retaining wall to address land slippage in the community has been paused due to wet conditions, but some fear the rainy season could do further damage to the existing infrastructure. Rayneau began its operations in the area in 2024 without submitting the requisite environmental and social impact assessments. After being ordered to cease its activities, the company was later granted a General Development Order in 2025, permitting it to resume on the condition that it submits an Environmental and Social Management and Monitoring Plan, or ESMMP. GBN learned that the company has submitted the document after previously receiving an extension from the Planning and Development Authority. However, PRO of the Grenada Land Actors, Brian Samuel, stressed that an assessment completed before the development could have mitigated the current challenges.
This goes back to the issue of why we do environmental impact assessments. If an EIA had been done on that site, An engineer might have said, well, maybe we need to make it a little bit further from the road. So what we need is an independent assessment. If the engineering assessment says that there is no cause, then fine. But I think that it might come out the other way around.
The government has maintained there is no evidence linking Rayneau's operations to the environmental concerns raised by residents. At the same time, the company has repeatedly denied that its activities are causing adverse impacts. GBN reached out to Karine James, Minister for Climate Resilience, the Environment and Renewable Energy, who also serves as MP for St. John, but did not receive a response.
Thank you, GBN. Thank you, Deidre Silly. Now, you heard the government, the Ministry of Infrastructure plan on putting up a retaining wall. Did you do the necessary testing? Are we going to have another closure on our hands? Remember, the contractor in Corrigan was contracted to do some box drain and a retaining wall and retaining walls, right? Because the road broke and that's all they thought they needed. That what I have seen, what you have seen by footage, calls for much more than a retaining wall. And I'll have you know that the contract was given to the minister, the MP for the area, Karine James's dad. And what I saw, which I'll share with you shortly, down in a drain, down in a gutter, deep down in a trench, so to speak, that was down. I don't understand. I'm not an engineer. But with the rain that fell, that done must have gone through, right? Again, things were not done according to the law. If it was, then we might have saved a lot of monies, because it's the government of Grenada left to foot the bill, since it's not Rayneau according to the Prime Minister. The NDC ignored the cry of the people almost 2 years ago. The damage now is going to cost the government millions of dollars. This situation resembles Molyneux, the Cliff Road closure, all put together, and Project Polaris. Look at this other video here. The slippage that you just saw went right down into Rayneau's property. That's where it is. You slip off, Rayneau. You slip off from Mondo, Rayneau, right? They've excavated and moved boulders, removed the boulders, which you've seen down and stored and stacked up on Rayneau's property now, from the side of the road where the slippage happened after the rain fell. So there was nothing to hold the soil together. Now, I was reliably informed that the father, as I mentioned earlier, the father of the parliamentary representative was contracted to fix the Mondo Road with all that's happening, right? Look at this clip here.
You can see the relationship between the placement of the stone and the breakage of the road. So this pile of stone came from alongside here.
No, the stones, the boulders that I showed you earlier on,
Yeah.
as I suspected, came from the side of the road. And all this where we walk in here was excavated by the Rayneau. All this is their land. We are on Rayneau land. I'm on Rayneau land as I speak, right? Right there, and there is. See that? Right. So what I am gathering now is that what I had shown you in the trench here. Let's get back down to this big trench here. Yeah. So I wondered what was going on in the big trench here where this soil moved with this wooden structure down in there. Guess what? The representative for the St. John's area's dad got the contract to do something here. That's before it got worse. It's worse now. So he was supposed to do something here. It has worsened since the rains a couple Sundays ago. No, this is what he started, right? This is what he started. The dad of the representative got the job to do the work. All they think we easy in Grenada, we not easy at all. No, this here. Yes, so that's his job. So I take back the fact that we've heard nothing from the government and the ministry. Apparently, Daddy got the job to do the work, but now it's worsened. The road has moved, right? See, as you see, all this, it's gone. I can show you what we have left here. This is the road. So this is the road, right? It's like a bicycle track here now. That's what's left with the erosion and the slippage that's taking place. But the rocks was moved. You see how much rocks that's down there? That was moved from by the side of the road. Yeah. Yeah. All those rocks were moved. Yeah. Yes. So this project is Daddy Dairy's project. So we're waiting to see what Daddy Dairy is going to come back to do. Yeah. See, Daddy Dairy's that put that wooden frame down in the gutter. They have some all under the fig tree there now. Look over here. Look at this person's all their water, their pipes. Yeah. And these people have to make shortcut pass through the bushes to go through their lands now to get to their homes. Folks, it's actually appalling. It is. And I cannot get over the fact that the Prime Minister is proudly saying, Rayneau is not responsible. Okay, Rayneau is not responsible. Then who is? the government of Grenada, right? And the Ministry of Infrastructure, which is the Prime Minister's ministry, are almost 2 years. You wait till it get to this point, impossible, where people can get to their homes or their lands, the farmers, and proud to come and tell us that Rayneau is not responsible. Now the road is broken so badly that vehicles can only get to a point, as I mentioned before. Anything beyond that is on foot to get home or to get to the farms. Here is a video to show.
So this is the bridge. The bridge is broken. The road moved away from the sidewalk. Right? This is a space between the road and the bridge now. Right? And this is where the vehicle has to park. The people living up the road. There's another one down there in the back there. This is as far as they can get to. They can't pass to go home.
The road is broken. Even worse, further up, a little ways up, all along the same boundary with Rayneau. This is the last piece, and the biggest piece, actually, the biggest break in the road. Now I'm going to show you some of the materials that I guess the Ministry of Infrastructure, well, the contractor, so to speak, the minister's dad, the representative's dad, had, I don't know how long, but let's just look at the video.
These are Daddy Dairy's tools. Not tools, but materials. These are Daddy Dairy's materials. On the ground here, Daddy Dairy's have a whole house. I don't know how much. Look, if Bush taking the steel already, this is the next side of the road, right? If Bush taking the steel already, you can see they cut down the bush from on it, and look, you can see that this steel been on the ground here forever. So far, look how it sink down there in the mud, look, right? The steel been there, right? What has Daddy Dairy's been doing? So for all Daddy Dairy's did was that frame that I showed you in the gutter down there, right? Daddy Dairy's have his water tank there as well. Okay, and more steel on the ground. In the meantime, I need to ask the Prime Minister, what about the bucket truck? All I think is, this is not straightaway mango that's wasting on the ground, you know, Calavini and another nice type of mango. You know, most people love a Grenadians love a Calavini. Wasted when we got the promise of the bucket truck. The bucket truck to pick the fruits. Look.
Yes. These are things the bucket truck could have well do. The bucket truck could have well pick the mangoes. And the net he promised to put on the bucket truck, shake the tree, you know. This is a serious business here. Seriously. Where is the bucket trucks? So was an EIA study done before the job was awarded to Daddy Darius? While Daddy Darius down in the trenches, more mud coming down, eh? Right? Is Daddy Darius an engineer? Right? Because that was a problem up at Cloget. Is this another case of putting a wrong peg in a square hole? Job for the boys, job for the fathers as well? Just another case of eater food mentality? Was any geotechnical survey done or testing done? The thing is, we don't seem to be learning from our mistakes. Habitual and self-defeating. Case in point, Molyneux, Cloget, Polaris. And by the way, told the Prime Minister, Deacon Mitchell, and Andrew St. Bernard, who is the project sponsor / lead, what are the findings of the geotechnical team that came out of Trinidad and Tobago that did the geotechnical testing out there at Project Polaris? It's a couple of weeks now since they've done their job. Their job is done. What are the findings? At the end of the day, the persons living in the Woodford, Mondo area, they are Grenadians as well. They are human beings as well, and should be treated as such. The farmers have the right to access their lands. We're doing private roads for persons up there in Mardi Gras, going up to private lands that are for sale. And our farmers can get to their property in Mondo. They pay taxes as well, like the rest of us. Now, since the Prime Minister knows that Rayneau is not responsible for the breakage and the slippage of the Mondo Road, then as a caring Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and a caring government, fix it. Fix the Mondo Road now. We then went down to the bay. We drove from the Mondo Road, crossing the main road directly across from the Rayneau site, drove down to a point, maybe three quarters way down the hill, where we stopped and walked the rest of the way to the bay. If you look, you'll see photos of the bay, and a lovely photo actually of the bay. That's the bay where the fisher folks now are going to be displaced. That's the bay where Rayneau is going to put his jetty. Lovely, lovely photo of the bay. And here's a video of Miss Henry and I as we go down the bay, to the bay. Now this is one of the many roads that Rayneau had done to go down on the bay, right? Now, this is one. So they did 3. They started that one, and if you notice, I'll go down. I'll let me go down, because you need to see the first road that they were building and that they were doing, constructing, grading, whatever, excavating, and apparently because they had no assessment done and did not go to planning either, apply to planning to cut the road, they ended up in the bushery. So when they ended up in the bushery, they stopped. And then they did this road here that I'm walking on, right? I'm walking on this one here, right? We came down another road, and then they end up doing a third road where I just showed you there. That's the third road. This here is a lot of mud, and a lot of mud, people. See? A lot. No, I'm okay. I just want to show them where we came down. Muddy. I'm wearing the right shoes. I'm not wearing stilettos. I'm wearing sneakers. Oh God, you guys. Hi. This is what this government has put us through. So this was the first road? This one here? Okay. Go down. We're going down to the bay. More boulders, huh? They're just taking out all the boulders from the soil. More boulders again. Look at how much over there.
And the first road, after they excavated and they came and they got to this point, there was a deep sink. The road ended in a sink. So right about here, it was like a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what they were thinking or what obstacles they.
So this road is which road? This is the first or the
This is the
second road?
Yes. The second road. They cut from here, then they cut from up there. And then this is the third road. This is the third road. So, let me go ahead. You have to see this beautiful little bay.
So where is the jetty?
No, there's no jetty.
Yet?
Yet. They're going to take this little bay from this end to this. Look at how narrow it is. There are two nets. That operates in this little bay. 16 men at a time. 16 fishermen make their living from this little bay. This is the home port.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why there are a couple of reasons why they like this port. One is when they do get a catch, it's easy for them to pass through the bushes and get onto the main road and to go away with the catch. The vendors. If they were to go to across here to Woodford, what we call the hole is not accessible. It's not near the road.
Right.
You have to climb up and
Rocks and things.
And rocks and how do you do that with, a bucket of fish? So Black Bay is even worse. Black Bay, the road from Black Bay has been broken for years. So even if they do catch in Black Bay, they cannot retrieve the catch. They cannot come literally on land. So this little bay is easy for them to
to get that
Folks,
out.
this is where the jetty is
This
supposed
is
to
where the
go.
jetty is supposed to go.
The Rayneau is supposed to be putting up the
And
jetty.
from what two things about here that you should note. Because of this bushery that comes down.
Oh, that's
there,
like the bushery over
the
there?
bushery over there.
Okay.
And the type of vegetation, there is it's identified as Petocarpus. I'm not a scientist, but I'll show you the trees, and the remains of them are probably still on the ground where they were, Rayneau destroyed them. It's a very, very rare plant. This Woodford is one of 3 places with this remaining type of vegetation. So that was destroyed. The mangrove was a type of mangrove. This is an important nursery area for snapper, for shrimps. Name the variety, and this is the nursery area for them. And what the fishermen say is that when the silt comes down from the plant with toxins in there, that they're afraid that it is going to literally kill the fishes in that area.
So this is the river that runs behind the plant. Okay. Okay.
And here is shallow. When you walk a few feet out to sea,
It's deep.
there's a big drop.
Okay.
And that also is a sanctuary, a hiding place for fishes who come in and stay in that deep water.
Okay. 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 There are a lot of crabs here. Okay. So the first road they ran into the bushery.
Yeah, you're going to take it. You're going to go
Okay.
there's still should be this red oil.
Okay. So the first road, folks, they were going to run into the bushery here. So they stopped and they did another road. Not sure why, what happened with that one. And then they did another road without permission. All without permission. Yeah.
So these trees were destroyed. I'm sure they're still lying on the ground. It's spelled P-T-E-R. So P-T-E-R-O-C-A-R-P-U-S. That's the biological name.
Okay.
And according to Ms. Jessamy's report, it is one of 3 remaining areas on the island where they can still be found. Very, very, very rare, and the point may be of extinction. But in their roots, they have deep roots that provide wonderful nesting ground for all of these species.
That was a long one there, but it was necessary. It was necessary. Now, let me show you what is left of the river, because the river passed on the other side of the plant. So you have Munda, the plant, the river, all the way from the mountain, of course, come down to the bushery, to the bay. And the river was small up, so to speak, from up by the plant. And now what we have is like a stream, a little ravine coming down, and it's also coming down with silt. Let me show you very quickly what that looked like.
This is silt. Yeah, that's coming down from all the way up.
Now, if you heard clearly from what Miss Henry was saying. I know the bay was making quite a bit of noise. The first excavation that was taking place, it cut down some of the mangrove trees, this special species of mangrove trees, and it was ending up in the bushery, so they had to stop. Most of the bushes had grown back there because that was over a year now. And there are lots of artifacts also in that area, and old historic pieces of building, like mills and different things in that area there, where some of it was already excavated and there's some of it left standing, right? Now in this video, we made our way back up to the road that they're working on now. I believe that would be the main road now, from the Woodford Road, main road, to down to the bay where they're going to do the jetty.
So this is the new road in the back. We just came, kind of did a full circle. Yeah. Oh. This year had called for water boots. Sneakers in cutting it, but oh Jesus, I made it.
So we got back to the vehicle where we didn't know then that we were stuck. But when we got back to the vehicle and tried to leave, we realized that we were stuck. The vehicle we couldn't turn around. And eventually, after trying several times, we decided to reverse. And so we reversed back into the road, that road that they're working on, they're actually working on now, right? We came reverse down the hill. We got down, we got into the vehicle, and it was smooth sailing, or so we thought. Till we got to a spot that was wet, very wet, and muddy, and we got stuck. No, this video would show you us trying to get out, where we got stuck. So as you see, we were stuck. We tried to get help from the workers. Miss Henry walked up to where they were doing some like flattening area at the entrance with an excavator. And she went up there and tried to get help. They had about two small excavators and a big one, a huge one. And well, we have to say they pretended not to see her and not to hear her. She tried, nobody paid attention. She came back. We called the tow truck to try and get us out of there. And so while we were waiting for the tow truck. Workers came down, one gentleman, an Indian, who seemed to be like more or less like a supervisor. He came down and he walked all the way down, past our vehicle, videotaping the vehicle, the number plate and everything. He went a ways down, then he came back. He came back up. When he came back up, because I was sitting in the vehicle, and well, except for Miss Henry, the rest of us were in the vehicle. And he came back up, but his aim was to try and get a photo of me or a video of me. And so I was playing his game. So when he put up his phone, I put up mine as well and videotaped him. So he couldn't really see my face because I had my phone right there in my face. And He came, never asked us for help. We tried speaking to him. He said to us that we were on private property and what we were doing there. A St. Lucian came down. We didn't know it was a St. Lucian. Then we thought he was Grenadian. So we thought he was going to try and help. We asked him who he was and where he was from. He said St. Lucia. So we asked him, I mean, don't St. Lucian help people, you know, in need? When you see them by the road, you're stuck on or whatever, he said to us that what we doing there, this is their property, this is our property, and they all go stay. And he walked away. The Indian left as well and went up to where they was excavating to keep, you know, like directing the excavation. And have you know, I since spoke to Mr. Rayneau, and he said he knew nothing about it. He didn't know that, he didn't even know who the Indian was. He said that he has no supervisor that was there on the job. And after that, another one came down, a taller one. This one that you would see in this video that's coming up now, it's a short, little Indian. The other one was tall, and he, maybe the first one needed a bathroom break or something. That one came down and took his place. And while he left, then he came back. But I'll show you the gentleman, the Indian, who kept walking back and forth, taking videos. And then he would be speaking on the phone to someone, don't know who it was he was speaking to. And then he took the videos, you could see he directly got directions, take the number plate. He tried his best to get a video or a photo of me. And I prevented it each time. Mm-hmm. So that was an Indian trying to get a photo of me. The owner of the vehicle came out and spoke to him. He said, you don't have to do all of that. You can ask. You're free to take photos of the number plate. And he told him who he was. He said, the vehicle belonged to me, so you don't even have to send it in. This is my vehicle. And he told him, give him his name and everything, right? They had a conversation. And but we asked, why won't you all help us? And he said, this is private property. You all are on private property and you all have no right here, right? Anyways, we were there. And as I said before, the excavator was like flattening, making the road area smooth. Then all of a sudden, trucks came on the heels of each other, trucks, loads of mud, and they keep piling up mud. So even if we got out of when we became unstuck, we couldn't pass out that way that we were trying to get out to the main road. Where we were, we could see the main road like 20 feet away, maybe at most 30 feet, if so much. You can see the main road, you can see vehicles passing up and down the main road. The excavator was working right at the entrance there. But even if when we became unstuck, we could not get out because of the mud, the piles of the mud they were piling up all of a sudden. The truckloads of mud being coming and piling up, right? And we were trying to figure out where we would pass if we do get unstuck, because remember, we had issues on the other side. The tow truck, the guy who came to pull us out, He used the same road we use, but his vehicle were able to maneuver and get down there without any problems, and came across and pulled us out of the where we were stuck. So we got pulled out, and then we had to figure out where we're going to pass, because once we got pulled out, the two Indian men came right down and looked at us when we got pulled out, right? When we were getting pulled out, when we were being pulled out, right? And then they left. As soon as the vehicle came out, they left, went back up where the mud was being piled up. By then, they had flattened again. And I said to them, you know, you want to bet they're going to put that huge excavator across the road so we can pass. And so say. So they put the huge excavator across the way. There's a photo of that. It at the end of a video. I'm not sure if you're going to see that in one of the videos where the excavator, they place it across the road. So we couldn't pass. So now we had no other choice but to try the other way. We came where we got stuck initially. And our vehicle couldn't make it. So we had the guy who came to pull us out of where we stuck. He ended up having to pull us up all the way. If you look, you'd see that video where we got pulled up all the way to the top of the hill, up to the main road.
Choppy, don't use the gas, right? Just let you pull it up. Yeah. Yeah.
We had friends who came actually and met us and helped with the whole directing out. The vehicle was pulled up empty except for the person behind the wheel, and the rest of us were like in the bushes on the side trying to get up. And you can see photos of me there, tired, hungry, thirsty, weather beaten. We were there we spent 8 hours. It was a day job. We spent 8 hours up there, 7 of it stuck and just waiting to get help to come out. We had a gentleman with us, him and his brother, trying to help us get the vehicle unstuck. He fell ill. He's an elder man. He fell ill. We had the 2 guys had to take him out, one on each side, literally, to the road to get a ride to get him to the hospital. All of that happened. The Indians saw that. They tripped, literally almost lifting the guy out to the main road they still did not turn around to help us to get out of there, to get the man to the hospital. They went out, they got a ride for him, and he was taken to the hospital. And once we got up to the top of the road and was heading out of Woodford to get to St. George, when we got to that entrance, we saw that they moved the excavator, because we thought they were done for the day when they blocked the road and left. But by the time we got to that gap, a few minutes away, they had moved the excavator. If you look, you see the photo, and put it on the side. So now that we didn't use the road, right? So we were deliberately blocked in by Rayneau staff, who told us we had no right there, and there we gonna stay, and the drama, because they figured we couldn't pass out, we couldn't get out to the other side either. But we got help. A Grenadian, like how we do it, came and helped us out of there, and Yeah, 7 hours. 7 hours. We were stuck in that area. Now, so it was a hell of a day. We got out safely. Thank God for that. But you got an idea of what is happening up there at Woodford. I was supposed to see Mr. Hector that day, but because of us getting stuck in the mud and couldn't leave for 7 hours, by the time we came out of there, hungry, thirsty, headache, everything, which was just to get home, to try and get home as safely as we can. And so I didn't get to see Mr. Hector, but I will visit you, Mr. Hector, in the not too distant future, right? As soon as possible, I will try to meet with you and have a sit down and a conversation with you, sir. Let's move on to Polaris update. And this is month 4 since the sword turning groundbreaking event of Project Polaris. Here we are. So this is month 4 at Project Polaris. Things happening. We now have security booth and chains to pull across to guard the bushes. Well, over here it's not just bushes. On the other side, they have a booth also. The city side, they have booth also. Over here, definitely, Calco is getting ready for whatever it is they put in here. They've moved the fence. We go up and take a look at it. But just have to introduce you to the security booth here. Things happening, and the guard and the gate. They have chains from across. So this might be our last month to bring to you what's happening over here at Project Polaris. What do y'all think? Y'all think this is our last month? Yeah? What do y'all think? Y'all think this is month 4 is the last month? Well, let's go up this. So month 4, that's 4 months since the groundbreaking event of Project Polaris, where we were told construction would begin right after. And this is the 4th month. Now, don't mind my outfit. I was going out to an event, so don't mind my kaftan, but I had to stop to do the people's work. And it was month end almost, and that's when we do the every end of month is when I bring to you the update, and it was just the right time. The chains were not pulled, so we went in, right? So don't mind my captain, but yeah. Now, there are some more developments. There are some developments taking place in there. Remember I told you about Calco, and they were going to be putting an asphalt plant and a concrete batching plant in there on the Project Polaris side, the new hospital side. Now, let me just give you a little bit of update here on that. Years ago, a company on the other side of the road, on the other side of the main road, opposite to Project Polaris site, tried to get permission to put an asphalt plant on their property. They have property over there. It's still there. They did not get the permission to put the asphalt plant there because the neighborhood kicked against it. There was a petition against it, and the Minister of Communication and Works at the time, Gregory Bowen, who initially was planning to or did in some way indicate to the company that it can happen, had to pull back and stop the plant from being put up in that area there. It is an area that is, well, populated, vastly populated with people. It's Wester Hall, it's Calavini, it's Monday Lease, it's Good Hope, not Good Hope, Hope Vale, sorry, right? And it's, yeah, Wester Hall, all these areas there. So they were stopped. Today, the government of Grenada, I'm not sure in the person of who or whom, gave Talco the okay to put up an asphalt plant and a concrete batching plant in that area there where our hospital is supposed to be built. We were promised our hospital in 3 years. So I don't know if the Talco is going to put up, by the time they finish put up the plant, we should have been well on our way with our hospital because construction was supposed to start 4 months ago. And we were supposed to get a hospital in 3 years. In 2029, we were told by Miss St. Bernard that we were going to be opening the doors of our new hospital, right? Now, they, Calco, have acquired much more space since we've been there. So the fencing that we showed you last month, end of last month, that they moved and brought it right against the edge of the road. Remember, there's a road that runs between, in the middle of the property, right? They brought the fencing right to the end of that road. So if you're going in, to the left side is where Calco is doing their development. And the right side is where we still have plenty bushes of right? So they're right up to that fence now. And they went further in as well, because that back fence was already up also. That was removed, and they went further in and further to their left of as well. Right in boundary with whoever, there's a house on nice, beautiful house on the ridge there, right there. So they've widened, they've lengthened the area that they're going to put up their plants, right? There is, let me show you what I'm talking about. New development over here with Calco. They've acquired more space. The fence go all the way back to the other half now, and further back to the mountains, and right up to the boundaries. Now these structures here, maybe they're for the emergency department, y'all think? These structures here? Or is it for the batchment plant or the asphalt plant? What do y'all think? These little structures on the ground. Right? We will find out. That's sooner than later. We would find out. Are they certainly not for the emergency department? And the bushes on the other side are becoming taller and taller and taller. Yeah, right? That's where part of where our hospital is supposed to go. So this is things happening. Things are happening. The whole area is paved with heavy gravels. Not sure if they're going to pave over it or if that's just going to be there how it stays. But if we manage to get back in here for month 5, we'll be able to show you all what's happening, right? But definitely things are happening. We have some friends visiting now. We're not sure. We might have to call on you for bail money. A vehicle drove in and it's stopped down there close to the entrance. So let's see what happens there. However, this is serious business. This is the people's property. This is what we were told is going to be Project Polaris, the new hospital. And this is what is happening. If they told us we're going to get a new hospital in 3 years,
and we're building batchment plant and concrete plant, then we need to know what's happening. Where is the new hospital going to be? Right? So we're moving along, and I have to go to show you all the bushes and in the on the other half. So let's take it over there now.
Now, before I take you over, let me give you a closer look at what the development of Calco plans, what's happening there. They've been putting some structures. I think it's just to place the plant on, like the base. I understand that the plants, the asphalt plant and the batching plant, I often say batchment plant. I find batchment sound better. It's easy, it comes out easy, batchment plant. But the batching plants, the structures are already on the port, right? They already landed in Grenada to be erected there in Calviny Estates, right? So let me show you what the development is really, what's happening there.
There has been some development over here with Calco. They have gotten bigger space. So the fence moves further back. It's right across to the next house now, right on the edge of the road that goes between. They've thrown huge gravels, big gravel on the ground. And this setup here, well, is that for the emergency unit of the hospital? Or is this for the batchment plant or the asphalt plant? This setup here, what's this? Is this some part of the new hospital and the emergency unit maybe? Yeah? Look, it goes all the way up here. Right? So they move the fence further back, right around, and then they've gone right to the edge, I guess, of their boundary. If you look right up there, and they come down on the other side.
Yeah, so since we've last been there at the end of June, a lot more space they have acquired. They have quite a lot more space than it looked like before. It was just, a little, but now they have spread out, right? And have acquired a lot more space. So let's see what's going on over there with Calco. In the meantime, across from Calco, the bushes. The bushes has grown tremendously, and some areas much taller than I am.
And this is month 4 from the bushes at Project Polaris site, the new hospital, as they say, the North Pole. And we are getting ready to guard the bushes. Here I am, folks. This is what we have now. So the bush is actually taller than I am right. Oh God. This is, can you all see my hand? My hand? Can you see? Right. This is Project Polaris, the new teaching hospital site. Well, the other half that Calco is not acquiring. If you look right there, is the fence. Right up to this half now is the fence. And that was, they moved the fence they had from last last month and bring it right up on the hub, because I guess the space, or maybe they want to do something else. We have to get through this bush here.
Now, here is a sneak peek of the city side. There's a security booth on that side as well, and there are chains also, and there are cows grazing, right? Here is the city side.
Now this is the other side. This is the city side. The bush has grown again, well, the same way tremendously. We have cow grazing, cow grazing, and of course the city side has security booths and chains and so as well. So over here, nothing much, nothing happening but bush growing. But yet for all, we have a security booth to guard the bushes. That's how our money is being spent. So we're going to pay a security, we build booths, we're going to pay securities. Well, they have enough security firms in the party. Everybody have a security firm. Members of cabinet, members of the executive, surrogates, everybody have security firm. Security does be guarding security. So no big deal. They're paying them already. They might as well come and guard the bushes. Folks, this is Project Polaris. This is what we have thus far. 4 months ago, we turned sword for Project Polaris. I said the sponsor, the project sponsor, now project lead, said that construction begins right away. 4 months ago. And here we are. In bushes, the cows grazing. But we have security booths. This is Simon's over and out. See you next month.
So the question is, if Calco is setting up an asphalt and batching plant on the new Polaris Hospital grounds, when do we expect to see the beginning of the construction of the new hospital that was promised to us in 2029? Secondly, where is Mr. Damian Darling, the first cousin of Randy Darling? We haven't seen him for a while. He was not on that tour, the last North American tour with Project Polaris. I have a message for you, Mr. Darling. Please, if you know what's good for you, stay out of this Project Polaris saga. Run for your life. Run for your life, if you know what's good for you. Folks, that's a wrap on today's episode of Simon Says. It's always a pleasure conversing with you, keeping them honest. Thank you for viewing yet another episode of Simon Says, where facts come first. I'm your host, Jenny Simon. See you next week, same time, same place. And remember, a better Grenada is possible. Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in to Simon Says. To ensure that you never miss an episode, click subscribe and make sure to turn on the notifications by clicking on the notification bell icon. See you at the next episode.